The terror attack in Manchester has without doubt shaken the resolve of adults across the globe. But what about our children who hear snippets of news reports here and there and may have trouble understanding this horrific world event? With some advice for parents, our resident parenting expert Claire Orange joins us. Hi there, Claire.
Hi, Emmy.
Now, there's some advice around today that if kids don't realise what's happened in Manchester, parents shouldn't tell them. You say this is wrong. Why is that?
Well, you know, our children don't live in bubbles. We're sending them out the door to school, and playground educators are busy filling in the gaps in our children's knowledge. So, you know, I would guarantee that if your child stepped out the door and they're a primary school age child after the age of year 2 or year 3, they've come back home knowing about the Manchester terror attack. And, you know, really it's on us to provide that information to our children well.
Yeah, but how much detail should our kids actually know about what happened in Manchester?
As much as is appropriate for their age. You know, other than nothing is not an option for our children. So think about the age of your child and what can you provide them that's based in fact and not based in fear, because that's what our children need from us, is that amount of information so that they're not filling it in with hysteria and misinformation.
So when we talk about ages, how do kids under 12, for instance, process this sort of information that they're hearing about Manchester? Right,
well, you know, I've read so many things today that say children under 12 don't process it, and it's untrue. We have these well-rounded children with an amazing knowledge of the world because they're in a multicultural society. So we need to make sure that children can see this event with the eyes that we want them to. And you know, children under 12 have a huge capacity to understand with compassion and empathy what's happened in Manchester without the emotional overload.
So what are your tips then for parents on how to talk to their kids about this kind of tragedy?
Right. I would say there's 3 top tips, and they're difficult because we've got different ages and different diagnoses within our children as well. So take that into account. Keep it simple. Stick to the facts, no conspiracy theories, nothing about race or religion. Just stick to the simple facts about this being a terrible, heinous crime and that lives were lost. And I think the next thing is perspective, that it's not local to us, it's a rare event. So we want our children not to see it as the global, as the universal measure of the world. We want them to keep it in perspective. And we also want our children to sit in hope and love. You know, we see this and it fills our screens and our hearts and our heads. But there's so much good out there in our world, so much beauty and hope, and so many good people doing wonderful things, and their work becomes eclipsed at times like this. So we want it simple, we want it in perspective, and we want children to live in hope, not in fear. So those are good tips for parents. Direct your language there.
Okay, Claire Orange, that's all we have time for this afternoon, but thanks very much for all that advice.
Thanks, Emmy.